Hello, welcome to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast, where it is all about helping amazing physicians just like you create a wealthy life free from burnout and with the financial security to practice medicine on your own terms. I'm your host, Dr. Elisa Chiang. Hello, and welcome back to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. So today I thought we'd talk about what it actually means to be wealthy. If you ask 10 different people, you'll probably get 10 different answers. Does being in the top 1% of income earners make you wealthy? If so, let's look at some of those numbers. According to a study done by Smart Asset using data from the IRS and Bureau of Labor Statistics from 2018, with figures adjusted for 2021 dollars, the threshold to be in the top 1% of earners in the United States was a household income of $597,815. To be in the top 5%, your household earnings need to be above $240,712. The state where the top 1% income threshold was the highest was Connecticut, with a cutoff of $896,490 to be in that top 1%. The top 5% income threshold was an earnings of $311,589. The next highest states were Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, and California. That's probably not that surprising. In West Virginia, you only need a household income of $350,212 to be in the top 1% and $171,125 to be in the top 5%. In fact, the top 5% of West Virginia income earners actually pay 48% of all the income taxes in the state. Mississippi, New Mexico, Arkansas, and Kentucky are the other states where the 1% income threshold were among the lowest in the country. Another report had $504,420 as the cutoff for the top 1% household income in the United States for 2021. For a single earner, that figure was $357,552. Another way to define level of wealth based on income could be to look at what US politicians decided was the threshold on raising taxes on the rich. President Obama and Congress settled on a deal that raised taxes only on families with incomes greater than $450,000. So maybe you could consider that is what it takes to be rich. But is wealthy really about income, or is it about net worth? In a survey study by the Spectrum Group of 1,100 investors with a net worth of $5 million or more, the majority responded that the definition of rich should be by net worth. Only 6% said it should be based on current income. However, when asked how much net worth categorized a person as rich, answers range from 1 million to more than 5 million. Interestingly, when the wealth management firm UBS asked individuals with a net worth between 1 million and 5 million the question, do you consider yourself wealthy? Only 28% of them said yes. For individuals with a net worth of more than 5 million, only 60% gave a positive answer. When asked what it would actually take to make them wealthy, some individuals responded with a specific level of net worth, but the most common answer was that wealthy meant having no financial constraints on activities, which means that they didn't feel like they were rich simply because they couldn't afford to do everything that they wanted to. That report is from 2013. According to this definition, how rich you are doesn't depend on how much money you have. It also depends on what you want to do. But of course, you can keep looking at those who have more than you or who can do things that you can't afford to do, like fly on private jets. According to the Wall Street Journal's Wealth Report blog, the most common answer in surveys for what it takes to be rich is generally twice as much money as they currently have, no matter what that figure is. Those making $100,000 a year thinks it takes at least $200,000 a year to be rich. Those with a net worth of 5 million thinks that it takes $10 million of net worth to be rich. So if you fall in that trap, then you're never going to have enough because you always need twice as much as you have in order for it to be enough. And then when you're there, it's still not enough. This also speaks to the growing economic divide between the super rich, the top 0.01%, and the top 1%. A study in 2020 by Emmanuel Saz and Gabriel Zuckman found that those in the bottom half of the top 1% have seen their share of wealth remain roughly flat for the last 20 years. But the 0.01%, or those worth more than $100 million, they've seen their share of wealth more than double since 1995, from around 5% to just under 12%. The number of billionaires on Forbes' annual list of the world's wealthiest exploded to 2,755 people in 2021, which is 660 more than 2020. According to the Global Health Report in 2021 by Credit Suisse, it only takes a net worth of $1 million to be in the top 1% of global net worth. In contrast, to be in the top 1% in the United States, you need a net worth of more than $11,099,166. That data comes from the 2019 survey of consumer finances from the Federal Reserve. While 1 million makes you rich compared to most people on Earth, there's really no specific number that can make you feel rich. In fact, most millionaires don't live an opulent lifestyle. This was highlighted in the book, The Millionaire Next Door. So I looked a little bit more about how other people define wealth. And I found one article that actually asked financial advisors how they define wealth. And I thought that was an interesting group to actually define wealth. And here were some of those answers. Wealth means enough to live happily and comfortably without the fear of not having enough money. Wealth isn't about the money you have in your bank account, but whether you can meet most of your spending needs and wants with that money. Someone is technically wealthy when they need to make plans for succession. When you're financially comfortable enough to meet your personal goals, have a plan in place to outlive your money, and feel freedom when it comes with money, that's a rich life to me. When money is no longer your primary consideration for decision making. Being rich means the ability to spend on things that reflect your personal values. True wealth is having amassed enough financial resources to quit working whenever you choose, to maintain the same lifestyle through retirement, and to have a larger investment portfolio at the end of retirement than at the beginning. True wealth is time freedom, having the financial ability to delegate activities in your life that you don't value or enjoy. The real point of wealth is the freedom it can bring you. Wealth means being able to spend your days the way you choose rather than working to earn more money or worrying about how much you have already. The real point of wealth is the freedom it can bring you. Wealth means being able to spend your days the way you choose rather than working to earn more money or worrying about how much you have already. So that's what the financial advisors had to say about wealth. Do you agree with what they had to say? What do you think of what they had to say? So I posted the question, how do you define being rich or wealthy, to my Facebook page with a disclaimer that I might actually read what people posted on my podcast. So here goes. Here are some of those responses. I think that income in the top 1% would definitely count as rich, and the top 5% probably as well, or at least pretty well off. Rich is not having to worry if you can afford a new car should your old one bite the dust. Being able to live comfortably without having to work unless you want to. Having income in the top 20%, whatever that means where you live. If you make considerably more money than the average in your area, you're rich. The ability to make decisions without regard to numerical considerations. Another person wrote, it has nothing to do with income. If you make $1 million and spend $1 million, you have nothing. I think wealth has everything to do with your net worth. Not sure how much net worth makes you wealthy, but I guess I would say that your net worth is at least high enough so that you wouldn't have to work for 5 to 10 years. Otherwise, we could just call wealthy when you reach financial independence. Another person wrote, I'd say rich is when your kids can do whatever they want to whomever they want without even a fear of repercussions on account of their, quote, bright future, end quote. That I think was probably the most interesting definition. Not having to sell one's labor out of economic necessity. Having more than you need to live comfortably. Being wealthy means monthly passive income exceeding monthly expenses, thus having time freedom and not having to trade one's time for money. Another wrote, wealthy, can afford to pay to do repairs, can decorate for fun, can afford new clothes without affecting the budget. Same for paying taxes. More than sufficient paychecks per satisfying career choice. There's leftover money for dining out, ability to save for vacations, able to help your kids in need without hurting, can quit your job before your company lets you go, and no motherhood tax. And someone else wrote, having all your needs met, having several of your wants met, having enough of a cushion that delaying or missing a paycheck, no matter how big or small, doesn't threaten you with financial disaster, and having a reasonable certainty that you will have enough money saved to retire on your terms. Another answer was, being wealthy is being financially independent, meaning you have a source of income that doesn't require you to work if you don't want to. It also means that your debts are paid. I found that interesting because a lot of wealthy people actually do have a lot of debt, especially if they're investing in real estate, because that leverages their money. Someone else thought that rich and wealthy meant different things. So they described rich as having enough money to say yes without thinking about how you're going to pay. And wealthy is have enough money to not think about how the bills are getting paid. Another answer was, wealth equals living with ease and choice and resources. Someone else shared, after losing my mind and the person I loved who came from an affluent family, rich and wealthy means so much more than finances. To me, both abundance of money so you don't worry about money and a mind that's healthy enough to enjoy life with those you love. If your loved ones are alive, you are so rich. Another answer was, having enough to save some, cover basic expenses with occasional treats, and enough left over to donate to needs unmet in any other way, which are many. Another comment was, rich is a personal definition, more spiritual. Wealthy is all about money and the ability to spend money without counting everything. Having money to cover all expenses, including delegating people to do stuff like clean and the yard, and having excess money to do things you like, such as travel, and still have enough savings for emergencies and retirement. Another answer was having enough money and free time to do the fun things I want to do. Having enough in investments and savings to have a full life without financial worry. And the last comment was having enough in investments and savings to live a full life without financial worry. Interestingly, there was not a single person who gave a specific dollar amount, whether in income or net worth, of what defines someone who is rich or wealthy. Some people felt like rich and wealthy were not actually the same. And for some people, it's not. There were a few common themes. A lot of people define wealthy as when you no longer have to work for money or when you're financially free. This would mean anyone able to retire is rich or has achieved wealth. Another common theme was being able to live comfortably, even while still having to work for money. Some people thought about wealth in comparison to other people around them or how much you have in relation to others. I'll end with the words of Warren Buffett. Quote, really getting to do what you love every day. That's the ultimate luxury, end quote. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and it opened up your mind into what it means to be rich or wealthy and where you fall on that spectrum. How do you define rich and wealthy? And what does that mean to you? Do you consider yourself wealthy? If not, what would it take for you to feel that you are wealthy? Is it double what you have now? I think wealthy to me means being able to live a life with purpose without having to trade time for money. I hope you enjoyed this discussion on wealth as much as I did. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and let me know by leaving a review. It really helps to get the word out. And now the disclaimer. I am not a certified financial professional, and this show is really just for your education as well as your entertainment. I'm also a physician, but I'm probably not your physician. So if you need any medical advice, please consult your own physician. Thank you.